Greetings and welcome. Today we turn our attention to the historic process of building a new India, sponsored by Sri Narendra Modi and ably assisted by Sri Amit Shah. Of course, they have their colleagues and co workers, and I wish all of them good luck because this is an enterprise of tremendous national and historic significance. Today, I want to flag a particular concern of mine as relevant to this. History tells me that oftentimes individuals, maybe out of good intentions, maybe out of uninformed personal zeal, sometimes even of megalomania, initiate grandiose processes without giving it due intellectual, spiritual, and empirical attention. There is a saying in the Gospels, the saying of Jesus, that before you begin to build a wall or before you decide to launch a military campaign, you must first sit and take stock of your resources and ascertain if you have the resources to go ahead and complete the project. Now, when it comes to a grand project like building a new India, it is clearly not a matter of having material resources alone. The greatest mistake that the Modi Shah combine can make, and I am going to say this after first having said that I wish them good luck, and I am saying this hoping that they would not commit this mistake. So, the greatest mistake that can be committed in this context is to assume that building the new India is a matter merely of building impressive infrastructure, flaunting majestic landmark constructions like the new Parliament building, and many are in the offing, or for that matter, projecting the image of India abroad as an emerging superpower, economic superpower, or what have you, or showcasing the glory of the nation in terms of advertisement blitzkriegs and propaganda extravaganza. The project of building a new India must be undertaken in all its earnestness with the right degree of understanding and sense of purpose. And here, the only point I want to emphasize in this particular presentation is the need to pay attention to non-material resources for the reason that, to me, fundamentally, building a nation is building the people of the nation. To me, a nation is its people, the sum total of the demographic wealth we have. Now, often nations are tempted to project an inflated and exaggerated, photoshopped image of itself overseas, neglecting at the same time the core duty, the essential mission of increasing the inner strength of the country. The mission to project a glorious overseas image will wither away if the domestic front weakens in the process. Now, In order to illustrate this point, let me make a reference which is sensitive, but I have to make it because it's very real, it's right in front of us, and my point will be clearer through this illustration. While Manipur was burning, the Prime Minister of the country was visiting countries overseas. It is not my point that the Prime Minister of the country should not visit other countries and build the image of India abroad. That's basic to the duty of the Prime Minister. But my point is simply one that pertains to priority. The first priority for a Prime Minister, for anyone who is interested in nation building, must be the people of India. And the people of India includes every citizen without exception. A citizen is a word or a concept which does not admit any labels. You can't have a Hindu citizen, a Christian citizen, a Muslim citizen, a Northeast citizen, a Southern citizen. There's only one citizen, the citizen of India. And if the spirit of the Constitution is honored, then all are equally entitled to the four core values embedded in the preamble to the Constitution, namely justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. Today, ask the question, do the people of Manipur get justice? Why can't they? That should be the foremost question in the mind of the Prime Minister of India. And that must be addressed on urgent and priority basis. Whereas the task, the necessary and very noble task of projecting the image of India overseas can wait. Heavens are not going to fall if the Prime Minister goes overseas, say, 2 weeks later or even 2 months later. So I think this project of building a new India, if it is to really make sensible headway, if we are to reach the destination that's dear to us, it cannot brook the neglect of the most fundamental task of building the people of India. To think clearly, let's use an analogy. Suppose I want to establish a college. I acquire some land, say 50 acres of land, to be on the lavish side, and I erect the most beautiful buildings. The best architect in the world is engaged, the best materials are used, everything looks stunningly beautiful. But I recruit substandard faculty, accepting bribes, and I admit very mediocre students, again, taking bribes from them. Do you think that I'll succeed in my intention to create a world-class educational institution of excellence? Do you really think so? The same principle holds good in nation building as well. Neglect the people quotient, the project will collapse. Now, I now introduce the last bit of my thought. Not that this is the last I want to say on the subject, but last for the time being. What I want to emphasize about everything else today is that this priority of building the people of India, what I call the people quotient in nation building, as against the more showy, more impressive, more spectacular part of erecting, very impressive material structures and making all kinds of political moves and international propaganda, business, etc. As compared to all of this, the agenda of building a people of India should be far more important. That wisdom, I have to emphasize, will come only from a spiritual vision for a country. I underline and I repeat, what we need first and foremost is a spiritual vision for India. Now here, I want to make a brief comment on the inauguration of the new Parliament building. I do not know with what understanding, with what intent the Parliament was inaugurated. New Parliament was inaugurated in the manner it was done. Why was the Shengal adapted as a symbol? Why was its installation done in the ambience of religious rituals and ceremonies? While other people comment on the Hindu accent of the problem, I don't have any problem with it, to tell you the truth. I read in this a particular message which to me is important. Whether Prime Minister Modi, Amit Shah and company realized it or not, I don't know. But this is how I read the situation. Implied in this arrangement of inaugurating an impressive modern building to the accompaniment of pretty ancient religious rituals and processes. Look at the contrast. Embedded in this contrast is a very important reality. Whether that reality has become an insight, I do not know. Time will prove. What is that reality? The reality is that all the best of material resources put together and everything done with it will still lack a soul. And nothing is complete without a soul. My dear friends, I am someone who firmly believes that a people have a soul, a country has a soul. Now, I remember reading a very interesting by a French author called Reincourt. I forget his first name. His second name is Reincourt. The title of the book is The Soul of India. There's another book titled The Soul of China. Amartya de Reincourt. Amartya de Reincourt. The Soul of India. A nation has a soul. A people have a soul. A region has its soul. A building which is meant for a building of national importance has a soul. I'm not trying to revive animism. I'm trying to intuit a particular lived reality. For example, suppose you build an impressive structure like the new Parliament building and use it for commercial purposes. Then the feel of it as you step into the building will be very different. Suppose you turn that into a place where communal harmony, the sense of oneness of all people in spite of their diversities, is sincerely celebrated. Then the feel that you get is very different. Suppose you turn it into a place where inspired, dignified, civilized, parliamentary debate takes place to good effect. Then the feel that you get into the same building is different. The physical infrastructure is different. The soul changes. It's a reality. Nobody can deny it. The building of a nation is likewise. So my argument is that the insight that the people must be priority over everything else in this very sacred process of nation building cannot be a secular or even philosophical recognition. It is purely a spiritual recognition, because if you look at the hallmark of spirituality in all its diverse traditions, I believe that all spiritual traditions belong together. There's no doubt about it. There can be no tension, dispute, quarrels, incompatibility between spiritual traditions, though there can be great incompatibility between religious establishments. Now, in the core of the spiritual tradition of every people, including India, there is this realization that people matter above all else. That is the truth. Satyameva Jayate. What is the Satyam? What is the truth? The people matter foremost. And as Gandhi understood, when we say that the people matter, what we mean is, and what we should mean is, something that unfortunately the present government seems to forget, going by the evidence of the Manipur tragedy. When we say the people matter, what it means is that every individual Indian matters. As I said, every citizen matters, because citizen does not carry a label. If at all there is a label appropriate to a citizen, it's India, Indian citizen. There is no Hindu citizen, there is no Muslim citizen, there is no agnostic citizen, there is no religious citizen. If this vision is not internalized and put to practice in the process of building a new India, I am afraid, and I need to say this with all the conviction and clarity that I am capable of, I am afraid we are inching towards a great disaster. I wish to God it doesn't happen. That's why I'm doing this, sharing these thoughts with you. I repeat, what Modi and his team have embarked on is a tremendously significant historic mission. I wish them, from the sincerity of my heart, good luck, all success. But success is not a magical thing. It has to be based on sound understanding and sensible pursuit of a noble and grandiose scheme. If that is missing, the soul is missing. And when the soul is missing, the consequence is death. That's the truth, and I have to state it in all its force and its clarity, without fear or favor, hoping that these words, these simple truths that I have articulated, would make somewhere some sense, and that it would devolve to the greater good of my country. Jai Hind.